Yo, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how y'all can do better in tournaments, and I'm going to be giving you some tips just so you can immediately place better and get in the leaderboards, and in the season solo series, hopefully make your first earnings. And this goes for the solo series, future solo cash cups, I would hope. You could even use this in some FNCS stuff, and skin cups of course. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright, so tip number one is having a good drop spot. Now this might seem obvious, but you need to have a drop spot where you can consistently win off spawn and make it to endgame, because endgame is where most of your points are going to come from. So it doesn't matter if you have 0 kills, if you get a 12th place, you're going to still get a good amount of points. So to do that, you need to have a good drop spot where you can get good enough loot to make it to endgame and still be stacked. To get a good drop spot, I would recommend using a drop map. Now, there are some of these you can pay for or have somebody to make them for you, but one of my favorites is just on Fortnite GG. They have a free drop map. You can go there, pin it on your Fortnite screen up where your drop map usually would be. Like, you can print it on your desk, or you can put it in the corner of your screen just so you can see it. And this shows you like the chest spawns and the bus locations and where you could jump from, and it's a really good tool to have. Alright, tip number two is going to be having a good strategy. Now that also might seem obvious, but what I mean is not just making it to endgame, but actually how you're going to make it to endgame. And what I mean by this is planning whether you want it to be a W key game or a passive game. What even is a W key game versus a passive game? Now, a W key game is where you key literally everybody that you see and go for as many kills as you can, because your first lobby is always going to be your easiest. But a passive game is where you probably don't get as many kills, maybe 1 off spawn and 2 in the end game, and one of those might be the kill for the win. But you don't go key everybody that you see. You box up or you sit in bushes and just wait for all of your points to be through placement and not through your kills. Since your first lobby is always going to be your easiest, I would recommend W keying your first game, and if you die off spawn or die before end game, W key your second game as well, and then you can play passive from there. Now, you can choose what strat you want to do. If you're a really good player and confident in your fighting, you can try to W key all of your games and get multiple wins and multiple high kill, second places, third places, even 10th places, and those will be really good. But if you're less confident in your fighting, then you can play passive all of your games. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to as well. There are actually players who have qualled in solo cash cups while getting 0 kills. So playing passive is definitely not a bad strategy. Alright, next tip is how to actually win off spawn. Now, off spawn fights are pretty sketchy, and that's why they call it 50-50. You're literally just running at a player and hoping you kill them. Although there are a couple things you can do to make your percentage and chances of winning off spawn much higher. Number one, land at a building where there's not many people landing. Even if you land at a big POI, make sure you're landing at like a little bit farther of a building. Tip number two is always picking up a spray weapon off spawn. Never pick up a shotgun unless somebody is landing right next to you, because spray weapons, you can beam people out the air. Tip number three is walk around your corners really quietly and like check all your corners, almost as if you're playing like Valorant or CSGO, how you check every corner. Now, I'm not saying rat and just crouch around, but don't make a ton of noise and don't just walk by a random corner, because there's probably going to be somebody else sitting there. Alright, congratulations, you've made it off spawn. Now we're going to go into mid game. So even when you're playing passive, you're still going to want to get a couple kills. And the best way to do this is getting 1 kill mid game and maybe 1 or 2 kills in game. Alright, so first I'm going to tell you how to push a fight in mid game if you're playing aggressively. So if you're going for a W key game, you're always going to want to get the tags first. If you see a player, you're going to want to spray them and at least get a little bit of health advantage. Then you're going to ramp up and try to get over them, because they're going to box up and have to play defensive. Now, you're going to try to pressure from the top of their boxes. Alright, so notice what I do here. Say like there's a player boxed up because you just tagged him. So you're going to ramp up, maybe do like clicks jumps or something just to get some height on him. Then you're going to like spray his walls and spray his cone, right? Then you're going to place the floor, maybe some walls, like give you some cover when you're swinging at his wall. Just some fake swings, hold your pump out. And then if you take the wall, you can either drop down like this, but you don't always want to do that, because look what happens if you sit up here like this. When you take this wall, you can make like this edit and then like back up and look at him and then like confirm and get a pump shot like this. Or you can pressure from the cone and like do some swings, like take the cone and place the wall, and you can take the floor like this. So like if you pump the floor, this is like a really good edit to do. These 3 tiles, you can like be fully protected behind the right hand peak, and you can take that peak like that. Although you're really not going to want to free build in tournaments, because it's just going to waste mats, and like the goal of tournaments is to get the kill and like in the fight quickly so you don't get third partied. Alright, so you might be wondering, Hurricane, how do I finish the fight quickly? So like say you tag a guy and he's boxed up like this, and he's just probably going to make like a bunch of boxes. I don't even know. You might make a 2x2 or something. Or you might just stick with this, or you might go up a layer and like sit in here, or you might even like just jump into his cone like this. I don't know. There's like a lot of possibilities to what this guy could be doing. And if you're going to like try to go up and pressure every single one of these walls, it's going to take forever, because he's just going to sit in here and hold the walls. Now, if you're going to go up, make sure you're like on his cones. You're going to try to take this cone And if you have good aim, you need to be confident in the fact that if you jump in, you need to take 50-50s in tournaments. And that gets the fight over quickly. That's a kill. Alright, next up, how do you play defensive? So say you get sprayed or like tagged or something, and you're the one boxing up. Say you're going to be rotating, and then you're building in wood, and then like you're doing one of these, and you get sprayed. You're going to immediately make a box, and then you're going to switch to your hard mats. So I'd switch to brick, and build a couple boxes like this, and I'd build a 2x2. So switch to brick, make one of these, and then switch to metal and make one of these. Just so you can serve mats. And you can even like kind of sit in between these and play these peaks. So this is how you're going to want to play that fight. And just make this guy come up, and if he starts swinging on your walls, look for an opportunity to pre-fire. So like 1, 2, and then if he swings both those pickaxes, pre-fire and take wall. Okay? So like say he goes 1, 2, like that, pre-fire, take wall. And then back up, and if he takes your wall, back up, just make more space through here. You have infinite boxes. If he's just trying to grief you, just make a bunch of space. You have all of this space. Just use your mats, because you would rather die with no mats than you would die with like a lot of mats. Okay? So if he keeps taking your walls, just keep making more space just through here, anywhere you want. Alright, another tip is rotating. So if you don't want to take those fights in mid-game, you got to learn how to rotate, because a lot of players are going to rotate through the middle of the map. So that means you have to play basically dead side of mid-game and rotate around the edge of the map. And this is also helpful in end-game. You always want to rotate to the less congested side, like far side, and you want to rotate on the edge of zone. And that's how you get sprayed less when you're playing end-game, but I'll touch more on that later. Alright, congrats, you made it through mid-game and maybe even got a couple kills there too. Now you're playing your first in-game of the tournament. What you're going to want to do is make a box. Now, that white ring on your map is where the zone's going to be next. Now look to the edge of that ring. Okay, zoom in on your map and look to the edge of the ring, and you want to rotate around that. Never rotate through the middle. It's called the dead side. So you're going to want to rotate through dead side where it's less congested every single time. So if you don't have mobility, pull out your wood mats, because you want to save your hard mats for when you actually box up. And then you're going to rotate and just hold your wood mats out and kind of rotate. And if you get sprayed, just place wood. But you always want to save your hard mats, because wood, people are going to spray you because they know it's the weakest mat. So when you box up, never box up on wood unless it's for only a couple seconds. Alright, our last tip is refreshes. So when you're really low on mats, you're going to need a refresh and get a kill on another player. To do this, you're really going to want to use the tip I gave you earlier on jumping into somebody's box and taking a 50-50. You should go for a refresh when you only have about 10 builds, 20 builds left, or 200 mats. And most of the time, they're going to be your wood mats, so you have to be careful. Once you jump in on this other player, you're going to need to finish the fight quickly and then make another box really quickly, or replace the builds in that box and get ready to rotate. Just remember, guys, play confident and don't be afraid to push a fight. If you die, it's just a tournament, and Fortnite is just a game. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this helped. So if it did, feel free to drop a like and sub. I'm sorry I haven't really been posting that much. I've just been really busy with school, but I'm trying to do better on it. So yeah, love y'all. Peace.